Can I just say this before we get into the nuts and bolts of the game last night?
What do you want to say?
Damn, sometimes the officials make it a tough watch. 22 penalties.
I was hoping they would throw more, honestly. I couldn't get enough flags. I could not get enough penalties involved in this game.
That S was absurd.
Yeah.
It's like you can't even get like a watching rhythm going, let alone, I don't know how these teams are performing knowing that you're just going to be set back and set back and set back, more laundry on the field, set back, another flag. It just, at a certain point, it feels like they're just trying to get involved just for the sake of getting involved.
That sack, though, that roughing the passer on the sack, that's an all-time low. It's an all-time low. I'm sorry. If you're listening, and I know I'll be having people from the league offices listening to our show and what we be having to say.
League office?
Hey, look, that's an all-time low, guys. It's an all-time low, and
is it an all-time low?
It's an all-time low. It might be the lowest moment ever in the history of the game.
Really?
I'm not and I'm not even joking. You took a quarterback who still has the ball in his hands, and you took him to the ground, and you got a roughing the passer penalty. It might be the lowest moment in the history of football.
I would say the only one in contention, maybe roughing the passer wise, was it Chris Jones on Derek Carr a couple of years ago, where he stripped the ball and went to the ground and still got called for roughing the passer.
That was a bad one too.
Both on Monday night.
That was a bad one too.
Both Monday night games.
That was a bad one. This was a low. This is all-time low. Entertaining game though. Entertaining game. I mean, you could tell these were two teams that knew they needed to win the game and wanted to win the game. Different reasons. One is still the superior team in the division. The other is trying to overcome dysfunction and trying to win right now for Woody Johnson. And they both needed to win. And they both played like they wanted to win.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tight game. They're the two top teams in the division. I don't know that anyone's going to dispute that based on how the game went. What's interesting about it is had the Jets won, they would have been at top of the AFC East.
Which is crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, with all the conversation, everything that's gone on since then. And if Robert Saleh is still there as their head coach, does it make a difference one way or another? I mean, I don't know.
I don't think it did. I don't think it does at all, to be honest. I think those guys played their asses off last night. They wanted to win that game. And listen, when you get an interim head coach, you know the one thing that players do in that first game out? They play their asses off.
Yep.
They play their asses off, and they might get a win that they might have not have got otherwise. They played hard last night. It was entertaining. You saw Aaron Rodgers playing at a high level. They actually look like they can be competitive moving forward. And so maybe it does bring justification of what it is that they did. But to me, they only made changes that we were made aware of that Robert Saleh was going to make anyway, right? They didn't make any other movements that were different from what we heard Robert Saleh was about to do in terms of what they were going to do on offense.
You think Robert Saleh was watching the game going, this is what I was trying to do the whole time. Hold on a second. Like, why am I out? Like, I was trying to make that switch the entire time. I tried to make it happen on Tuesday, and 5 minutes later, I got escorted out by security.
And you know who let them down in the end? Their defense. Their defense in my opinion, their defense let the Bills off the hook.
The interception at the end to Mike Williams, I know the ball was a bit underthrown. He's got to make that play. I mean, if there's one acquisition that I think has kind of come up disappointing, it's probably been Mike Williams for them. I really thought he would be more imposing on the outside, add a nice 1-2 combination, or at least a complement to Garrett Wilson, and that has not been the case. The other thing is, if we look at the score, I mean, they scored on a Hail Mary. Hey, maybe the score's not indicative of how close it was, but here's what we can say. The Jets moved the ball better, but it still wasn't good enough to be the top of their division, at least at this point. So now they've got to figure out how to rebound and put this whole thing back together. But they've got their work cut out for them, and they really do. And I'm curious the mindset of the players on this team, because after this year, there's so many things in question. Does Rodgers come back? Who's the head coach going to be? I don't imagine it'll be Jeff Ulbrich. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll end up hiring him. But when there's questions like this around a team and its future, you know what players start doing? They start thinking about themselves. And that's a dangerous path or thought process for a team that can't afford to think about anything other than the team and figure out how to win and get their way back into this thing. But that's what happens when you start losing football games. People start losing hope. They start going in self-preservation mode. That's my concern for the Jets if they can't start getting some wins and go on a little run here.
Rodgers spoke after the game, clearly frustrated, discussed.
Who are we blaming it on this week?
Well, he discussed how big of a loss this was and also the officiating as well.
Who's being held? Oh, the refs need to be held accountable.
Of course.
Oh, okay.
We need to get going. This was a golden opportunity. Some games you win in the NFL and some games you give away. This was a giveaway. I mean, we're terrible in the red zone. We missed 2 field goals. Didn't convert on a 2-minute drive. We had plenty of chances. Had the momentum. Had good drives. Moved the ball up and down the field. Again, this should have been a 30-plus point game on offense, and this shouldn't even be a conversation.
Can you just talk a little bit about the penalties tonight?
Yeah, it seemed a little ridiculous. Some of them seemed really bad, including the roughing the passer on me. That's not roughing the passer. I was about to play sarcastic ball if we're going to call those things. And I thought the one on Kinlaw was not roughing the passer either.
So there you go, VAR.
I mean, here's what I'll say to this. He did throw the kicker under the bus right there. He did throw, which they should have made the field goals. That is true. But.
And listen, if Zerline makes the kick against Denver, that's another game they could have.
Ifs, hand grenades and horseshoes, my guy.
Why don't you stop dancing on our graves here, all right? We're holding on
I'm
to
not dancing on your graves.
Here.
I'm not. They're 2-3. There's still the hope and the chance that they can do what it is that you said they can, which is make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but there's the chance that they can make the playoffs. Now, here's the key, and I think he touched on it.
They're 2-4, actually.
2-4.
It's even bleaker than that, yeah.
Oh, dang. Yeah, it's even bleaker. Sorry. 2-4. Listen, Aaron Rodgers saying they need to get it going is a understatement. If they don't get it going, like as in get it going now, what Q just said before we did the soundbite, self-preservation kicks in, business decisions are made, and you'll see this team totally implode. If they don't get it going and they don't get a feel-good moment that can pull them together. Winning this game last night could have been the catalyst. I mean, we saw it happen in Las Vegas last year. It led to AP being able to keep the job and maintain and move forward with them. Getting this win last night would have been big for them. Super big, and who knows what that turns their trajectory into. But they didn't. They didn't win. And now what? They'll win this next. I think I said this. They'll lose this game. They'll win the next one. They could win the one after that, but they'll probably lose that one too. They'll probably lose 3 out of their next 4 games, this being the first one.
I mean, their next one's at Pittsburgh. You're picking against the Steelers?
I didn't pick against them. I said there's the possibility, which they looked pretty good last week, by the way. They didn't look bad in their win. Yeah, they didn't look bad in their win. They might not win that one. I said it's a maybe they win that one. That's the one they have a chance to win.
You don't think they have a chance to win at Arizona?
Yeah, now seeing what the way they look now, yeah, maybe.
So they've got Pittsburgh and New England next on the road before
New England. It was New England. This is the New England game. I said they'll win. So I said they lose their next 2, then they'll win their third. They could win against Pittsburgh. They'll probably beat New England, but New England's going to play them tough. It's a divisional opponent. They're going to get play. Like, imagine we're sitting here saying, I'm saying that they'll play New England and they'll beat New England, but there's the chance that they may not beat New England because that's a divisional opponent. And those are the types of games where it doesn't matter how bad a team is, they're going to play the hell out of you and they're going to play you hard, just like what we saw last night. Even though the Bills are a good team.
Jets are favored at Pittsburgh right now. So 1.5 point favorite on
I take that bet. I take that.
Yeah, well, I mean,
what's the point spread?
1.5.
Yeah, what I do? I money line them. I bet you the Steelers beat them. They beat them. You don't need they don't. Dang, being favorites. I bet you the Steelers beat them.
Yeah, that was not a great loss for the Jets last night. Zerline, those 2 kicks, just the penalties. Rodgers
they were impressive
frustrated.
misses, though.
Can I ask you this, Brady, on the Hail Mary, is there any skill at all involved in what Rodgers is doing? Or is it just throw it up there and it's just coincidence that these guys are making plays for him?
No, it's all skill. I mean, it's technical, it's skill. There's some spirituality involved in all that. Yeah, no, I mean, if I had to coach up a quarterback on like what goes into it, typically you're not going to take your normal drop. Usually guys will take like a 5-step drop, but the difference is, which in shotgun's deep, okay? I mean, you got to step up. You got to hitch up into the pocket, but you're not going to hitch up once. You're going to hitch up twice. It's because that second time, all right, that's where you say the prayer before you throw the football up there. So given the spirituality of one Aaron Rodgers, I'm sure he
and you have
knows
to have skill and spirituality. That's not just a given. No, you got the skill connected to that too.
Well, I'll handle this. All right?
I'm sorry.
The skill comes in the actual throw with a trajectory.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There's a certain type of trajectory to the football, almost like you're dropping a bomb. And you need to be able to throw at a certain height to allow everyone else to get in position, but it's also got to drop with a perfect amount of space, not only for a potential catch, but tip to allow all involved to then make the play. So there's spirituality on the actual drop itself, skill on the throw itself, and then there's just a sense of overall or a knack for getting the ball off. Like at times when you're back there, how many times you see guys drop back like, all right, Hail Mary time, sack. Oh, it's time for a Hail Mary sack. And they can't figure out how to drop back and actually throw the football. Rodgers throws these moon balls, like it goes up into orbit, and then it drops down with the perfect amount of room, and it hits the guy who's actually the jumper. There's a guy designated to jump. He's really not even supposed to catch it. Catch it if you can. Otherwise, you're supposed to tip it. And then one of the guys is supposed to be around there, either behind or in front, to catch the tip ball.
That's how we lost my last year in school.
So that's where Rodgers combines his technical skills, his skill in general, and his ability to throw the football, but also the spirituality. And I don't know if it's the ayahuasca or what we want to point to, but he's taken some spirit journeys, and those journeys have led him down a path of Hail Mary greatness.
It was clean.
It was clean.
I mean, just clean catch, went down. Alan Lazard, way to close up the half.
That's the thing about Lazard, is he has a game like last night where he steps up and makes plays. And then there's other games where he can't seem to get into a rhythm, has some drops. He's not on the same page. It's frustrating at times.
How about that goddamn throw where it went off of the leg? Like, it didn't even go out. It was like almost like a gunshot. Like he shot him on the leg, hit the leg, and went right into the man's arms. That was Lazard that caught that as well, wasn't it? It was like 3rd and 15 or something like that.
Oh, the tight throw where the guy had his back turned.
It was behind.
It underneath.
It didn't sneak underneath. He threw that bad boy. He threw it in his chest. It was like there was nothing that the dude had to do other than be where he was at. I think that was Lazard.
If they could just keep him upright, man, he can still sling it. But it seems like he takes longer and longer to get up now when he gets hit. Like they're wearing him out. And if they got to see T.J. Watt next week, I mean, good luck with that.
Hey, and by the way, Josh Allen played his ass off.
Yeah.
He competed. Made plays when he needed to make plays, made throws when he needed to make throws. I mean, they sputtered at times, but he found a way.
The story can't just be Rodgers. I mean, Allen's one of the best in the league for a reason. He showcased that last night.
Absolutely. By the way, because we did take the whole segment talking about the fact that dysfunction will always supersede skill.
Dysfunction.
Talent. Dysfunction.